welcome aboard, everybody. My name is Doobyis. This is an interview series called Fly in Formation. It's a spin-off from my weekly mix show. I do an hour-long mix of independent Canadian hip-hop every week. That's on my show called After the Smoke is Clear, also known as At Sick Radio. It's been going for 6 seasons. This interview series has been going for 3 seasons. I think we're on episode 115 right now, and joining me tonight, I've got 2 guests. Just put out a collaboration album, I want to say in August, called Two Nails in the Coffin. I've got Brainiac and Kjahn with me. Welcome, guys. How you doing?
Doing
Yeah,
Doing
to see
good,
you.
bro.
Appreciate you guys coming through for this. It's always fun for me to talk to artists and get to learn a little bit more about the projects and also the scenes that people are from. Kjahn, I only have talked to, I think, one other American, and he was from Niagara Falls over on the other coast, basically,
okay.
over on the other side of your country. So, yeah, most of the time I've been talking to Canadians, and it's kind of fun just to dig into the local scenes and get to know what's going on in some of the lesser known places across the country.
Right.
But it should be fun also getting to talk to an American and get some perspective on kind of not only the Seattle scene where you're based, but just kind of your perspective of the Canadian scene. I guess right off jump, can I get you guys to kind of just talk about how you linked up? Do you guys know each other beyond the internet, or is this a online thing?
Brain, do you want me to start it and you can kind of jump in after?
Yeah, that's cool to me.
Um, I had dropped, I've been dropping a decent amount of music this year. I had dropped some new music with a homie, a local person from Seattle, who kind of has a bit of like some traction. And so when I dropped, my numbers kind of went up on Spotify, and I was looking at the people who were in the related artists, and I skipped past a bunch of people, clicked on Brain for whatever reason, and listened to his whole project while I was at work. And I was like, man, I got to rap with bro. So I tapped in with him. Um, and yeah, we ended up linking up in person, and we've linked up a couple times since, but I'll let bro kind of take it from here.
Yeah, so I remember I think it was back in February when Kay first hit me up, but it was funny because he hit me up on Facebook, and I'm not really checking my Facebook Brainiac page or whatever. So to be honest, I thought he was a bot. Like I thought it was some like I don't know, like scam or something, but because people just don't be hitting you up on Facebook, at least not me. Um, but yeah, so he just kind of hit me up and said, "Yo, I'm like a new project. Um, like we should work together." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, man." Like, kind of taking it with a grain of salt. I had no idea who he was.
As
And
long
then
as he
when I
wasn't
got,
asking for the credit card number, it was like, okay, we'll see where this goes.
yeah, exactly. Like it was
Yeah.
just so funny. And then I got home from work that day and like kind of dove into a few of the more recent tracks that Kay had put out. I think the first one that I looked up was Headphone Juice. Um, and that one I was kind of like, okay, like first of all, bro's nice on the mic, and the beat style is pretty similar to what I usually rap on. So um yeah, it kind of that was pretty much as simple as it gets as far as like how we kind of linked up. Um and then after that just started kind of sending beats back and forth, and the rest is history.
So was the talk about doing a full album right off the bat, or was it like, let's put a track together and see how that goes?
Uh I'd say it was probably, like let's just well actually sorry, I think the first kind of part was I think Kane, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you had sent me a couple of joints that you had for that EP that you dropped in this
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. I had originally it was like kind of just maybe trade song for song type thing. Like I sent Brain a couple opens. He sent me a couple of tracks that were like uh kind of what he had been working on recently, and we kind of went from there. I think we both had like a mutual respect for each other as far as like the lyricism and stuff. So like As we listened to each other's demos, and once we did a track or two, it was kind of like, man, we might want to do some more shit. And well, I mean, I don't know if I might be jumping far ahead, but like after, because that was in February, like Brain said, where we actually were, chopping it up, kind of just sending each other, getting to know each other as far as the music. And then we met in person for the first time in April. I did a show with Brain. He had me come out to Victoria. And I'll let you kind of speak about that, Brain.
Yeah, so like Kay was saying, I hopped on his EP. We got a track on there called Burn the Summer Down. Um, and then I had a show lined up in April at Vinyl Envy in Victoria, and I forget exactly the chain of events. I think it originally was supposed to be like maybe 3 or 4 people on the bill, maybe 4 people on the bill originally, and then for whatever reason, I don't know if somebody dropped off the bill or couldn't make it to the show or whatever, but um Mike from Vinyl Envy kind of hit me up and was like, "Yo, so we got some open time, or basically like a time slot opened up, or I would have been able to extend my set, but me and Kay were already working on a few tracks, and I think at that point we had kind of hashed out the idea, like, man, like if these are the first 2 tracks that we have from just kind of bouncing beats off each other and trying to get some stuff done, like we could do an album like nothing." So we'd already kind of had that idea, and then it just kind of worked out perfectly to get Kay up here to Victoria and get him on the bill for that show.
Nice. So Kjahn, had you been to Canada at all prior to that, or had you ever done any shows up in Canada before then?
I've been to Canada a handful of times. I used to come up to Vancouver a lot. My sister's dad, on her side of the family, he stayed in Canada for a long time. He stayed in like downtown Vancouver, and then there was a big gap, kind of like since I was probably maybe middle schoolish or maybe early high school since I had been back. And so that was my first time back in a minute for the show with Brain, and it was my first time to Victoria because I hadn't been across the water yet.
Right. Okay. So like I always, kind of have this idea that Americans probably don't know a ton of Canadian hip hop, especially outside of, the biggest names or whatever, the Drake and Cardinal Official kind of stuff. Um,
Right.
is that accurate? Did you know anything that was going on hip hop wise up in Canada?
I knew a few things. Like I like Nicholas Craven's production and the work that he's done with Boldy James. I
Yeah.
listen to a decent amount of Boldy, so I like Craven. I was kind of actually telling Brain that I didn't work with him, but I did a show where I opened up for Rome Streets in Seattle, and he had Danielson with him, who I just figured out was from Canada. But I like Danielson. I like his music.
Yeah,
So
he's
like
dope.
I'm not in the scene as far as like looking specifically for Canadian hip hop heads, but when someone's nice and I like them kind of no matter where they're from regionally. You know what I mean? So I like Craven, I like Danielson, Raz Frisco. Like I like a handful of people. I actually got to meet Mocha when we did the show, and kind of got to get more familiar with his catalog too. So
Yeah. He's one of the legends for real, man. That guy's been out there doing it at a very high level for a very long time. Definitely props to Mocha.
right.
Um, so I guess do you guys want to just kind of give like an elevator pitch for what people should expect from this album, like just for people who might not know your guys' catalogs?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, Go ahead, Brain.
Um, I would say, I would say first off, probably bar heavy.
Right.
Um, I think me and Kay are both people who really try and stick to the craft as far as like we really want to craft the best verse possible for whatever song we're trying to curate or really put a button or sorry, put a bow on. Um, but yeah, I would say very bar heavy, very driven. Um, there's a sense of friendly competition, I would say, on the record as well. Like me and Kay talked about it a bunch when we were recording the album, just kind of like just keeping each other sharp and in check. Um, and that's I feel like that's kind of why we're so proud of the project is because we were kind of bouncing ideas off each other, trying to come up with concepts for songs, um, and just trying to craft the best verses and the best project we could possibly make. Um, I think a lot of the tracks on the project can be very personal sometimes too. Um,
Right.
but there's also there's a lot of like flexing the muscles as far as like we're both nice with the pen. Like we can both still write a fire verse and it doesn't have to be necessarily about anything. It could just be getting some bars off. So I think if you can appreciate
It's a good
rap.
balance of that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I did listen a few times to the project, and I agree. Very, very bar heavy. You guys both had some good wordplay and just yeah, smart lyrics throughout. Stuff that I kind of gravitate towards is definitely like the you don't want to say like traditional boom bap sound because it does have the new elements and definitely a new era feel to it. But yeah, still definitely some of those traditions being carried forward from the golden era hip hop stuff too. Um,
To piggyback, if you don't mind,
yeah, of course.
yeah, I mean, I would if I had to sum it up, just to go off of what your question was, I would say it's very much hip hop. You know what I mean? Like I think there's a lot of subgenres of hip hop, and even me myself, sometimes I might step into that, wanting to be versatile. But I think what I can be really proud about with this project is that it is very hip hop. Like one, I want to salute to Brain for he produced all the beats on the main project and on the deluxe, which we can talk about a little bit later. But like, he produced all the beats, right? And so that was kind of where we stepped into it first, was like seeing what beats he had and what beats we fit, like how what would the feeling be? And once we kind of had a good idea of what the beats were, I mean, we already had a couple songs, but like everything kind of fell together. And I would say, to sum it up, it's very much a traditional hip hop from the perspective of two people who are, I'm 26, Brain is 27, like from maybe some quote unquote, I don't know if that's still young, with the way everything is now, but like, some quote unquote young people who really respect hip hop and are real hip hop heads. Like it's that's what I hear when I hear the project. You know what I mean?
For real. So, if you guys had a couple songs already together and then kind of decided, okay, let's go towards this project, um, Brain, were you making beats on like song by song basis, or was it like here's a vault of beats that I've got? Let's choose, 10 or however many that will go together and kind of have some cohesion.
Well, so I think a lot of the beats that are on the project are like you said, beats that were in the vault. Um, and there's a lot of the beats that, or sorry, a lot of the beats that are on the project. I've been sitting on for a while. Some of them maybe it's only been like a couple of months. Like there's a few newer ones on there for sure. Um, the beat for where I'm at, I think I made like this year, early in the year. I think actually before I met Kjahn. But a lot of them are just older beats that I really fucked with, but didn't really have, they didn't really have a home yet necessarily, or they didn't really have a space yet. Um, but beats that I was also in love with, like I wanted to do something with them so bad. Um, so when Kay came around and hit me up and we started floating the idea of making an album, I basically just sent him like 20 of the craziest beats that I'd made like in the last probably like 2 3 years. Um, and yeah, that was kind of the basis or the groundwork, I guess, for the project. Um, mainly older beats that were kind of sitting around waiting to have somebody rap on them, but I couldn't necessarily or I couldn't come up with something at the time. It was just kind of needing the correct inspiration to really set it off.
Yeah, and having another MC jump on a beat you've made probably helped to inspire your own lyrics, I would imagine, right?
Oh, 100%. It's cool. It's cool to get, another person's perspective or take, or even if it's as simple as just like, yo, I fuck with this beat. Like that's really all it takes, right? Um, but yeah, a lot of the beats are, last like 2 years, I would say, the bulk of them. Um, and then a few of them are older than that have just been sitting around for way longer. Same thing, just like haven't really had anything to either write to match the beat, or haven't had somebody else kind of come in. And because it's one thing too when, you know because like I produce, I'm a rapper first, I would say, but I feel like that has kind of switched over the years. Like I've turned into more of a producer over my time, especially in the last like 5 years, I would say. So I think it helps to have another lyricist come in and be like, okay, like we could really do something with these. That was a big help for sure.
Right. Kjahn, who normally produces for you? Do you produce at all yourself, or
Uh, I mean, I've made a beat or two. I wouldn't say, I'm not the hottest with the keys. I got a friend out from Seattle who's a really close personal friend of mine, and he's also one of the main producers I work with out of here. We've done a couple projects, so like I don't want to not name drop them all, but like the Road to WrestleMania one that dropped, he produced all those beats. Stay Till Morning, the album right before that, he produced all those beats. So like we do a lot of work together, and a lot of local production from people from Seattle, and also some people from like the East Coast of the U.S., just from friends and stuff that I know. But mainly, I like to work with one person if I can. Like that's kind of been my go-to thing,
yeah,
and so that's also why it worked doing the project with Brain as the producer as well, right? Because like um, I'm always kind of coming in from the lyricist perspective, like he was kind of saying. And so when I jump in, I'm just like, man, this beat is hot, this beat is crazy, right? And so I want to do something with it. Um, but yeah, I like to work with one person. I work with streets and a lot of local Washington producers.
yeah. I think that one MC, one producer thing is a pretty popular wave right now. It helps with making a cohesive project and something that plays well front to back.
Right.
It must have been a lot of sending files back and forth for you guys. Do you both have home studios? Like, was it something you could kind of record on the fly as the project went on?
Um, I mean, we both have home studios. I'll just tell my little bit, but for the most part, we just kind of sent demos back and forth so we could kind of get the idea of what the other person wanted to do. But the whole project, the main album in the deluxes, was recorded all in one studio with Streets, with the same producer and engineer I was speaking about who did those other two projects. We
Okay.
went to his studio, and Brain came down, and yeah, Brain, you can speak about it. But
Yeah, I mean, like, to be honest, I wouldn't say that there wasn't like much difficulty. I mean, we're kind of in the digital age, and everything is a lot simpler as far as, like if you want it, like me and Kay both have iPhones, so like I can just send them however many beats I want, like whatever ones that I have on my phone, I would just send over. Um, so we kind of tapped in, and I was sending them beats right from the get go. I think I sent them like 20. Um, and then yeah, we would just, record a demo. I would either like I think I would usually just airdrop it to my phone or iCloud it to my phone and then send it over via text. And then Kay would listen to it and then kind of get, like he was saying, get the idea, get the vibe of the track, and then send the demo back and vice versa. Um, I feel like that was the bulk of the project, and it kind of it helped out just because like I said, like you can do everything so quickly now as far as like there's no real like buffer period, I guess, for any of that. Like you can just literally record a demo,
Yeah. Nobody's waiting
airdrop.
for the mix, right? You can just send it back and forth.
Yeah,
And yeah.
yeah, exactly.
So with a process like that, like it makes things really simple, but did you guys kind of record like demo versions before you got in the same studio together and then re-record new versions of the takes, or are there takes on
Yeah,
the album that were still from your home studios?
yeah. So all the tracks that we did, we kind of just hatched out demos beforehand. Um, and then we picked a weekend in May. Forget exactly which days it was, but back in May we picked a full weekend or kind of like long weekend. I took a couple days off on Friday and Monday, and then went down there for 4 days and recorded the whole project in that time span.
Beautiful. Um, I guess one thing I did want to ask about the project is the name, the two nails in the coffin. You know, like typically put the nail in the coffin, it's done. It's kind of a like end finalized thing. What angle were you guys coming at the name with the two nails in the coffin?
Um, I so we there's a title track on there. I want to say it's number 3, which is titled Two Nails in the Coffin, which was I want to say like the second or third track that I think the second track that we made for the project, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah, and so on that track, I had said two nails in the coffin, kind of in reference to me and Brain, and I feel like we both just thought it was hard, and like we talked about it, and we were like, yeah, we could title like we could change the project name if we wanted to, but Brain was like, you know, I think I fuck with it, and we kind of just ran with that. I also
Yeah,
feel like I hadn't heard it, um, which I don't know. I felt like it was yeah, I
tough to
liked it.
name it something that you haven't heard of when
Right,
there's 120,000 new songs on Spotify every day, and yeah, it's no new ideas under the sun, all that shit, right? Um,
right.
yeah, man, I think you know, the name is on point. It's interesting that it just came from kind of a song that you put together, and then it was like, well, let's just make that the thesis. The two-headed monster, I think, is the line before that two nails in the coffin or whatever. But
yeah.
Right, exactly.
yeah, yeah, I like that. Is there anything? This is kind of just open-ended and vague, but is there anything that you hope people don't miss about the album, or that they take away from the album?
I'll let Brain go first if you want.
Yeah. Um, I mean, I feel like it kind of goes back to what Kay was saying, like his take on the project and kind of linked in with my overall take as well. I think it's just for the listeners, you know. I think we're both people who really respect and hold uh that golden era of music really close, and it's still very inspired by it to this day. Um and I think a lot of that kind of shines through on the project. Um and just like it just kind of shines through as far as like being, like both of us being like that in our everyday lives as far as like music exploration or trying to, it kind of takes you back, right? Like when I think of this project, um there's a lot of moments on it where I'm kind of like reflecting on times where I'm really like diving into hip hop, um and kind of doing my due diligence to try and drive or derive inspiration from different artists or projects that I was listening to when I was younger that kind of gave me the hunger to do this in the first place. Um, so I would say it's for the listeners. Like if you're listening, you'll tune in and take some of that inspiration away, and maybe some, hopefully a bit of nostalgia as well.
Yeah. Um, if there's anything I don't want people to miss from the project, I would say it's the not only the similarities as far as I mean, some of that is hard to see just through listening to the project, but hopefully you can see some of it where it's like the similarities between me and Brain when it comes to hip hop and when it comes to like really loving this shit and just enjoying the craft the way that we do. And then also just the differences, a US born dude, Canadian, black, white, and like different experiences, but we're able to come and make something that to me is like kind of timeless. You know what I mean? And I don't want to stamp things myself, but like I would just say like we didn't look too deep into like it was just like, hey, that's a good dude. This is a good dude. He loves the craft the way I love the craft, and we made some shit. And I think it's really that's the important part about it for
Yeah,
me.
yeah. The internet allows artists to do that, but you don't see it as much as you could. You know, you still end up seeing artists only working with guys who they've actually shaken hands at some show with, met in
Right.
person. Whereas I think, yeah, you can get some dope collaboration going just because of the freedom that the internet allows now. Um, I guess can I ask about this deluxe version of the album? Like you mentioned that earlier. Is the regular one out and then the deluxe coming on vinyl or something like that, or what's the plan?
Um, yeah, should I take it, Brain?
Yeah, take it.
Yeah, so the deluxe is recorded. We're just making maybe a couple tweaks. There's 5 extra tracks. Um, we're thinking ideally it's out on Bandcamp by Halloween and probably some visuals in between there. Um, for everybody who has enjoyed the project and been waiting for something visually, and then anyone who comes to the deluxe and is listening for the first time. Still beats by Brain. I think it's kind of like it all very similar, but also it's a little bit of a turning point in the project. Like I've listened to it all the way through as a deluxe now, um, and yeah, I think it's the same trip that you're taking, but you take a little detour at the end, and I think it's going to be really enjoyable. And we really tried to make sure that these 5 tracks were really up to the quality of the project, if not better, obviously. So um, yeah, if you want to say anything.
Yeah, I think pretty much just echoing what you said. Like I've never done something like this where I drop an album and then, put out a deluxe afterwards, but I thought it was a really dope idea that Kay had. And yeah, like I was saying before, I was able to utilize a lot of beats that I thought Kay would fuck with. I probably sent him maybe like 15 beats that we could kind of pick and choose from. And yeah, we slimmed it down to 5 joints. We just got them, or I just finished recording all my takes just this last weekend down in Seattle. So yeah, I'm stoked for everybody to hear it.
Nice, nice. Yeah, looking forward to hearing it myself. I think that's probably a smart way to get people to kind of put attention back onto a project that you've already put out. A month or two later, put the spotlight back on it rather than dropping like a follow-up EP. If you've got another 5 tracks, you see sometimes artists will do something like that and drop 2 projects real quick back to back, or normally I guess it'd be the EP first and then a follow-up LP. Um, but could you guys see yourselves working together more in the future, like after this?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we got a couple tracks kind of lingering for other stuff. Like I got Brain on some other music of mine, and I know I got some stuff of Brains that I'm about to send back too. So like, um, you know, I think we kind of got a musical connection that it, at least I won't speak for Brain, but for me, it's kind of like I was saying, as far as what I don't want people to miss. I think it's a unique experience that we had making the project, meeting each other. Like, first time we met each other was the day that we did the show together. And you know what I mean? Like it's all a very unique experience. And like I feel like that's and Brain can rap his ass off. So like there's also only so many people that I can get on a track with, and we're gonna do the dance, in a way where I feel like I gotta be on my very best. You know what I mean? And obviously, you want to do that with every track, but when someone is in there, or somebody sends you something that inspires you, and you're like, man, I gotta put pen to paper and make sure this shit is top notch. Those are the people I want to work with again. So
100%. Um, so I guess like, me, I'm older than you guys are by about a decade from what you said there. And when I talk about like, the traditional boom bap sound, I always feel like I'm an old head, and people are going to hear me saying it and be like, yo, we don't want to listen to this old head's radio show. He probably chooses a bunch of fucking washed old boom bap or whatever. As guys in your 20s, do you feel out of place like amongst your peer group? Do you listen to different stuff than your peer group does? Like, or I don't know, do you
Uh,
listen to new age hip hop?
I mean, I would say for me, like I kind of grew up around like a lot of musically um inclined people, and like going to school and like being involved in like jazz band and stuff like that. And like obviously now like there's people that have different, maybe like their first choice isn't necessarily rap, but like, man, like after rap, like I listen to so much R&B and jazz and soul and rock and all types of different genres. So I wouldn't really say like out of place. Um, but there's space for connections, with with a lot of the people that I already know, and for new people that I meet too. Just because I'm open to hearing, just about anything. Um, Especially, and I feel like that part of me is kind of like it's the beat maker. It's like, oh damn, like maybe I could flip something, right? Like I'm always kind of like dissecting things and being like, damn, that would be crazy to flip, or like I wonder how that would sound. Like I'm the type of dude who's gonna be at the bar like fucking shazamming the song that's randomly playing, where it's like, damn, what the hell is this? Like this would go crazy. Um, but
seeing
yeah,
them do it too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, literally just did it in the car when we were down in Seattle the other day. But yeah, I would say like definitely not out of place. Like, everybody has their bag where it's like this is my shit. And like I don't know. I feel like you gotta open yourself up and be very I guess just open and like willing to listen to new shit because it might blow your mind.
Yeah, totally. There's good new shit in every different lane. That's to me one of the
Well,
beautiful things
100%.
of hip hop is how many different styles there are under that umbrella of hip hop, right?
100%.
Right.
Kjahn, you got anything more to add to that about just kind of the draw to the traditional boom bap sound?
Yeah, I mean, I do listen to. I mean, everybody. I feel like everybody has different friend groups, right? Like everybody has maybe a handful of friend groups or peer groups, whatever you want to call it, right? Where it's like, okay, I know I might have a group of friends who are big hip hop heads, and we could talk about any hip hop shit, and they're gonna know something about it, right? Or I might have a group of homies who really know music, but they're not huge hip hop heads. They just enjoy hip hop. You know what I mean? So, and I got homies who only listen to hip hop, but their brand of hip hop that they listen to is different than the brand of hip hop that I listen to, right? And there's sometimes that they'll play a song that I love, and there's sometimes they'll play a song that I don't love. And I think that's just also part of listening to music. Like I think at times people might listen to the brand of music I like or even that I make, and it's not their tea, right? And I think that's okay. Um, but it's also okay to listen, consume it, and then make an unbiased opinion about what you like or don't like, as a person.
Yeah, that's high level listening right there. If you're actually deciding on your own what you do or don't like, I think that's above and beyond what a lot of people in the mass populace
That's fair.
are
Yeah.
capable of it. But yeah, for sure, for artists, that's a good way to be. Brainiac, I wanted to ask you a bit about like Ruse Records. I talked to OP Yeti a couple years back, Victoria-based guy. Are you in Victoria right now? I read your bio. It said you're from Vernon. Where do you actually rep?
Yeah, so I'm from Vernon, BC, but I do live out in Victoria, BC. I moved out here in October 2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the status with Ruse Records? Are you still down with that crew? I
Oh,
guess.
absolutely. Yeah, those
Okay.
are my guys. Like those are my dudes. Yeah, I first linked up with those guys back in like I think it was 2020, like right before the pandemic kind of hit. Um, but yeah, I linked up with those dudes. Those like I still talk to those guys all the time. Like we're still sending memes and shit back and forth on Instagram, shooting the shit. Um, but yeah, I feel like the music's kind of quieted down over the last little bit, just because everybody's got their daily lives that they're grinding and shit. Um, but yeah, and there's a lot of like versatility there too. Obviously, like Yeti's a crazy rapper. Gravy's got beats. Andy's our DJ as well. Um, Oz, I mean, like Oz is nasty with the bars too, but he's also on this big like he's like a big punk rocker right now, and he's doing his whole thing. He's got a band called Life Jacket, that him and the homie Luke Bodie are working on out here. So yeah, everybody's still doing their thing musically. It's just like different times, right? Everybody's kind of, you know, just kind of in their daily life. Like we're still sending tracks here and there, right? I know that um I do know that Yeti has an unreleased project with um Oz right now that he fully produced, that Oz fully produced for him. That's all I'm gonna say about that because I don't know how I don't know how much Yeti is down to drop music at the moment, but I'm just gonna put that out there. Maybe it'll push him to drop it because I've heard it and the shit is crazy. Shit is crazy.
Well, sometimes that's all it needs is a little bit of encouragement to get the homies to actually drop their music
Yeah,
when the
man.
time comes, right?
It is gas.
Yeah, nice. I guess I wanted to ask Kjahn, do you want to talk at all about your Road to WrestleMania album? I saw you had a solo project that was also recently out. Um, Thought we could plug that a little bit, tell people to check that out.
Yeah. Yeah. Road to WrestleMania is a project that is produced by, like I said, the homie Streets, who lives out here, and he also makes music, but he's a super, super talented producer and engineer. We work together a lot. The project was inspired pretty much by like just that little patch where I used to come home and want to watch wrestling on Friday nights and shit, and the wrestlers in there, and just kind of like the battle to. I just remember every single Friday I would watch it, and everybody would talk about how they wanted to get to WrestleMania, or hey, they're on the road to WrestleMania, and this, that, and the third, right? So it just made me think about kind of hip hop and how you know doing this. I'm 26 now. I've been doing it since I was young in high school and stuff. So like um, you're constantly fighting essentially to just keep grinding to get where you want to be in your industry. Essentially, that was the kind of reflection, and so we went with that. There's a lot of local Seattle artists on there that are super talented, and yeah, I think the project did just enough to pay homage to like that time of WWE for me, and like just some of the classic stuff as well. And then also just being a good hip hop rap project, you know what I mean? Kind of doing what it.
Is there a lot of like references to wrestling, like a lot of name drops and that type of stuff throughout, or is it less thematically about wrestling throughout the rest of the album?
There's a handful of name drops in the first track. There's definitely the intro track. I tried to flip as many wrestling bars as I could, and then throughout the project, there's like a couple of vocal samples from some WWE stuff allegedly, and then there's you know a couple of references on a couple of songs. Some of the titles are maybe tied in with a word or a phrase that I said, and I tried to flip it so that it fit to, like, I have a song called Sick Vicious, which is a play on Sid Vicious, but uh I start off the song by saying my nigga's sick. So essentially the track is about how a friend of mine was sick and he's dealing with something medically, and we just kind of smoke through it. And so like, not everything is directly about wrestling at all.
Yeah,
But
still
we
some
tried to
deeper
make it tie
concepts.
in. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to check that one out, man. I haven't got a chance to listen yet, but I will. Um, Brain, what about you? You got any solo work coming or in the works, or I don't know, work
Uh,
with anybody else coming?
yeah. So at the moment, I mean, I was kind of, me and Kay were trying to work to get the deluxe kind of wrapped up. Um, Over the last like a little bit, as we were kind of releasing the project and talking about the deluxe. Um, right now, just kind of been like contemplating where exactly I'm gonna take my next project. I have an idea for it, but um, I've only got a couple of joints that are kind of either in the works or on their way to it. But I want to make it a full length project. I'm not really sure, when to give you a date when it would come out, but
Fair
it's in
enough.
the
Yeah.
work. It's in the works at the moment. As far as other artists I'm working with right now, I'm gonna link up with the homie Grossbuster who lives out in Victoria here. Um, he's a crazy keys player and he's a producer as well, but he's gonna pull by the spot in the next little bit here, and we're gonna cook some shit up. So
Nice.
yeah, man.
Yeah, I hate being the media guy who's like interviewing you guys about one album, being like, so when's the next album coming? Because I know that artists want to push the album that's already out or whatever. But I had to ask to be polite after asking K John if he had wanted to talk about the solo work as well, because you guys are both solo artists for people to look out for. Um, let's just change gears. This is kind of random. When's the last time that you guys wrote a bad verse?
Ooh, shit.
Shit, probably not that long ago. It's probably on my phone right now.
Damn. I'm trying to think of one recently where it's like I just fucking balled that shit up. It's like, nah, bro. Like we're not going that way. I mean, like there's a lot of shit where it's like I don't know how you feel about this type of shit, Kay, but like I'll start writing a verse sometimes and it's like completely the direction that I don't want to take it. And you're maybe like
Right.
8 bars in and it's like, bro, like
I
what the
do
fuck?
that
What the fuck am I
constantly.
doing?
I have probably a bunch of 4 bar to 8 bar uh notes in my phone that to me are ass. I mean, if anybody else wanted them, that's up to them. But um yeah, when I go to write, sometimes I just start writing because I want to write something down and I want to, like, kind of get myself to write to whatever it is at a certain time. But sometimes that's just not it. Or
Yeah.
maybe it is it, but it's not to me, right? And I'm my own critic. So it's like, and sometimes I step away from it. And once I revisit it, I'm like, oh, this is not as bad as I thought it was, right? So it's like, yeah.
Yeah, that question is kind
Because
of an ego check, and it's kind of a way for me to ask, like, how much do people write? And some guys tell me that they never finish a verse unless it's gonna be something that they actually go and record, so they'll stop halfway through if something's whack.
right.
Yeah,
I definitely have done that.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
How often are you guys writing though? Like, do you set any time aside specifically in a week to write, or is it just whenever you get a chance to punch something into the phone?
I have of recently trying to write more like just like, all right, it's time to write now, get something down. I'm like I said, I may not love it, or it may be the start of something really hot later. So like I just try to jot something down. I try to do it a couple times a week at least, but I've been trying to be a little bit better about that too. So like yeah, but also sometimes like I don't want to make that sound like I'm a machine or anything, because sometimes that can be 5 minutes, sometimes it's 20, sometimes it's longer than that, right? So it's like it just depends on whatever I get into for the day.
Yeah, I would say I'm pretty similar as far as like I if I'm gonna like sit down and write a song, like I'm gonna try and I'm gonna try and finish whatever it is. If it's a 16, I'm gonna try and finish it. Um, but as far as like the frequency of my writing, I would say recently there's outside of the stuff that I was getting for the deluxe album, outside of that, not a whole lot. Um, just kind of trying to finish this project off and get us in a good place for for us to put out some content and kind of carry the release. Um, but yeah, I definitely want to be writing more too. Like I've kind of tried to make it a goal to, like I was saying, to try and finish something that I started the same time I write it, start writing it down. Sorry, but yeah.
Yeah. Brayden, I wanted to ask you specifically as a producer. This is a question I've asked a couple producers recently, but with with the rise of AI music, I know, artists, we all hate AI music. But one thing that I have heard some producers kind of getting away with and seemingly getting a pass for is sampling AI music. So like using Suno or whatever to make samples and then sampling that and chopping those samples to avoid copyright or whatever the fuck, right? Um, any thoughts on that? What's your feeling on AI and music production?
I mean, AI in music production, I'm gonna just say fuck that. Birds up, two birds up, double barrel birds. Like, bro, like I'm not gonna lie, like I use AI as far as like my everyday life,
Sure.
like, simplicity wise, like I'll type some shit into Chat GPT, don't get me wrong. But like, does it ever enter my craft? Like, no. So I
Yeah.
and like it's an appreciation for like whenever I'm looking for samples or whatever, like I'm doing the digging. I'm trying to find, like that's part of the love for me, is like the chase. Like it for me, I feel like it takes the soul out of it. It takes the longing to be like, oh my God, I just found this crazy sample, instead of like, oh, I just like AI generated this sample,
Yeah.
you
But it
know?
takes nostalgia right out of it too, right? Like a lot of sampling kind of
History too.
owes
Yeah.
to that nostalgia of like, you recognize this kind of, here it is in
Yeah.
a new form. Like,
Well, and that's the thing, and that's like a big part of it for me too, is as a listener and as a producer as well. Like, there's like I'm the type of nerdy producer, like just music nerd, where I'm like, oh my God, like I just heard this, and it's like I can correlate it to this song. Like I'm 100% that dude.
yeah,
So like for me, I could never do some shit like that. Like it
fair
it just
enough. Yeah.
it just takes the fun out of it. It takes the reason why I do this shit is for that moment when you find like the craziest sample, and you're like, oh my God, like I'm flipping this right fucking now. I'm loading it into Ableton. We're about to go crazy. But yeah, I couldn't do the AI like generated shit. No.
Yeah. I think that's probably a safe answer, man. That's going to be what most people I ask that question to will tell me for sure. Um, okay, I try to ask something about current events. I realized like 10 minutes before this interview started that like the only baseball game I've ever watched was last night. I tuned in halfway through the fourth
Right.
and watched the rest of that. You a big baseball fan there, Kjahn?
I'm a baseball fan. I think Brain's more of a baseball fan than me, but I was watching as well. And yeah, I mean, salute to the Blue Jays, salute to the Mariners. I think they both played a great season, and the Blue Jays season gets to continue. But yeah, we're hurt out here for sure.
I had to ask. I realized that you were from Seattle there. Like, that coincidence couldn't let it just go by. Brain, you got anything to say? You a big baseball fan?
I mean, like I'm a baseball fan for sure. I'm actually a big Mariners fan too. Like I've been watching the Mariners since I was young. Um, I'm a huge Ichiro fan too, so that's kind of where it all started
Right.
for me. Um, but yeah, man, it fucking sucks. Especially like, bro, to add insult to injury talk. Like I'm a fucking Canucks fan, bro. Like how the fuck do you think I feel, man? Like none of my teams got a chip. None of my teams have fucking been doing some crazy shit for the last while. So yeah, we're hurting, bro. We're fucking hurting, dog.
I hear you, man. The only episode of Fly in Formation that I've canceled from my side was on Game 6 of the Oilers Cup run there last
Oh damn.
last time. Yeah, so
Yeah,
we
that's
all
tough,
feel
bro.
heartbreak sometimes. It happens, but uh, I
Yeah.
guess the other thing that I wanted to touch on real quickly was like, are you still planning on going back and forth across that border real frequently?
You
Things are
talking to
getting
me?
well, yeah, yeah. It sounds like you've been making trips down to Seattle to record and stuff. A lot of the artists I've been talking to, like I ask, any plans to tour America anytime soon, and they're like, "Fuck no, I'm never going to America again," kind of thing.
I mean, I personally like obviously there's some shit going on, like inter, you know, and people can make it whatever they want to make it. Like they can turn it into some rivalry or whatever. But at the end of the day, like I'm fucking with K, I'm fucking with Streets, I'm fucking with Kobe. All those Seattle homies, like those are my dogs. So like it really doesn't matter. Like they're trying to tear us apart, bro.
So far, no changes in going back and forth across the border. All good.
No, I mean like, bro,
Okay.
I'm taking the Clipper, dog. So they don't even really fuck with you over there. That's just like, oh hey, where are you going down here for? Like they don't really give you any trouble at the border, but like especially when you're taking or going down there by boat. But like personally for me, man, like it's not really about that. It's more or less like, hey, like I'm coming down here to to do some business and we're staying locked in. So
Yeah,
yeah.
fair enough, man. Yeah. All right. So I do a segment on this show called "How Important Is." These are just rapid fire. How important is this or that? You can be long winded or very brief about it if you want to. But let me fire a couple of these. You can just both answer back to back, I guess. How important is let's go with having stage banter or storytelling between songs, like while you're on stage?
I would say
Um,
very.
yeah, I would say it's important. I think having to know how to do a little bit of crowd work and like the right transitions in between songs really make the difference between a show. I can say I've seen good shows where people didn't do that as well, but the most of the good shows I see where are they're doing that. They're able to have some back and forth between the crowd and do the right things in between their songs.
Right. How important is having time to like watch, shows and movies and shit like that to your artistic process?
Very.
Yeah,
I
fair.
mean,
Yeah.
like I'm also I fuck with movies, obviously like sports. I'm a gamer too. So that's my downtime, bro. That's how I like kind of can tune out, but also like draw creative like inspiration from that.
Right. Yeah, I think there's definitely
Yeah.
two schools of thought on that one, right? Like some guys have told me you know, they don't ever watch TV. I don't got time for that or whatever. So yeah, it makes me wonder where they get their references from, though.
I'm a little in between. So, like I I love TV. Like I'm the same way. I love TV. I love movies. I've been trying to cut it out more, so I get why some people are like anti, but it definitely, like you said, if I think that I would miss a lot of references and miss a lot of like just it's also like there's certain things that keep you in tune with people that can resonate with people just because they also watch TV or they also love that show that you're referencing or whatever. So,
Yeah,
you know, I always got space for a good movie.
hell yeah. Interesting for two MCs on the same project. You kind of touched on competition earlier, but how important is competition in hip hop?
Very.
I think very important. Yeah.
So song by song, you guys are trying to outdo the other guy. Did anybody go back and redo verses? That's always a question I like to ask on these.
No redos. No, no redos. I think there's maybe a couple times where I'm like, wish you could do a redo, but like I think that's also kind of part of what Brain was talking about, where it's just like, you go back and forth, track for track, uh, like someone's gonna get got in a sense, right? Like every time, and like someone's always gonna, and there's always gonna be a perspective of that too. Like there's gonna be someone who likes one person for their delivery on that track, and you know what I mean. So it's like, yeah, that's the nature of it, and I think it's very important that when you obviously me and Brain are homies, like we're friends, but like when we rap together, I think that competitive nature is important, or else we're not pushing each other.
Makes
Yeah.
sense. Um, Brain, did you have something to say on that one, or you want me to?
No,
Did you answer that one? I think you did answer that one off the top.
just kind of, I mean, like I just said very for as far as like the
Yeah,
competition. Like, I mean, like, bro, the shit wouldn't be fun if you weren't trying to, flex a little bit here and there, right? Like, I feel like that's what hip hop is about. I mean, like, you look back to a lot of the like rap beefs and shit where people are just tearing each other up, and it's like that's what makes this shit so fun, right? Like, obviously on this project, like Kay said, we're homies, but we're also trying to keep each other sharp, like trying to keep each other on our toes and make the best project that we could. So I think it's very important.
yeah, hell yeah. Let's do two more of these things. How important is any substance to your artistic process?
I mean,
There
I
was a lot of
I
weed
smoke a lot of
references on
weed.
this album. Yeah, so
Yeah,
yeah,
I smoke a lot of weed. I don't think it's like necessity at all, because there's been times where I'm writing no weed in the room or I'm not smoking. But it's definitely a part of my process. Just because I'm gonna be smoking. You know what I mean? Like, and I think it's definitely a part of my recording process. I do like to smoke in the studio if possible. If it's not possible, I'm always cool. But like, yeah,
sounds about right. Brain, what about you?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's a necessity, but I feel like at personally this point in my life, I do be drinking some beers. So, smoking a little bit. I don't smoke weed anymore, but maybe a cigarette or the vape or something. But I mean, we got our vices, but I wouldn't say it's like, you know, I have to like I can't write a verse if I'm like not
right,
I don't have a
Yeah,
beer or some shit, right? It's like it's purely like that shit comes from, like the moment. Like if you really sit down with it, you're gonna craft something special.
makes sense. Um, Last one of these things. Let me ask you something good. Oh, this is good for the two of you. How important is your physical location as an artist? Where you're actually at?
I mean, shit. I think it's super important. Um, I think it's super important. I think it's also part of just like how hip hop grew and became, right? You know what I mean? Like you got the two major coasts, and everything in between kind of had to make it pop how they could. And some places have done that better than others. Um, I think, yeah, I think it's important. I think it's also important to me to like still stand on where I'm from and like not try to do any type of code switching. What I mean, when it comes to like how I present, uh, I don't know if there's any Seattle look, but I feel like I'm Seattle, right? Like I feel very much Seattle. I'm always going to love and represent Seattle. So like, but I do think it's important to like your hip hop. Go
Beauty of
ahead.
being from a place like Seattle, though, is that, you know, the average listener doesn't have an idea of what the Seattle sound is going into listening to your music, so you almost get to make the Seattle sound, as you're going.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, that's fair.
yeah. How about you, Brian? What do you think?
Yeah, I would say it's important. I mean, like, in one aspect of it, um, it's that I'm just gonna speak from experience as far as like it's cool to know where certain genres kind of originated from, I guess. But like it's it's tough because like it's important, but it's also like I don't know, not necessarily important as far as like someone like me. I got really into like East Coast hip hop, where it's like, you're not necessarily limited to like, especially in the digital era, like you can find shit from wherever, right? But as far as like collaborating, I mean, just with me and Kay, like we're kind of positioned perfectly that it's not too crazy where we can still figure shit out and link up for a weekend and go to the studio. um
And I want to piggyback off what you said too, because I I want to like kind of make it clear. I was definitely like listening to a lot of East Coast hip hop as well. Like that's kind of what I was listening to when I that's what I chose to listen to. And I listened to all hip hop. And there was West Coast artists that also caught my ear. It's just as far as being from the US and from the South too. There was artists that I liked, but like uh my main go-to was a lot of East Coast heads. And I think a lot of them are in my top, right? But yeah, I don't think that I was saying it's important more from the perspective of like in order to branch out and find the right home base or the right fan base, right? But yes, I don't think it's important as far as like how you make your music. If you're making music, you make whatever you're inspired from or whatever and do your own thing in that realm. But yeah, if you want more to say, Brain, I just wanted to make that clear.
yeah, no, I like, I mean, I feel like it doesn't and not like I'm disagreeing with anything. It's more just like personal opinion, right? But like shit can be fire from wherever. And I think like, I think it's dope that me and Kay tapped in because of, and I think we're also lucky too, just geographically that we're close to each other. So
100%.
nothing's too crazy to, pull off.
Yeah, the internet has made it so that everybody can collab with whoever from wherever they are, but to actually be able to link up and do an in-person session like that, which, often can help the songs and help the music that's being made a lot. Yeah, you want to be someplace near to the people you're collabing with, probably most of the time, but yeah,
Yeah,
at
man.
the same time, the internet's also made it so that you can kind of bypass your local scene and find like a worldwide fan base that's out there too. So yeah, like you said, it's all opinion. It's all these how important questions are. There's no right or wrong answer to them. It's just yeah, individual opinions. Um
Yeah.
so yeah, this has been fun, guys. Before I let anybody out of here, I always ask the same question. Can you describe your local hip hop scene?
Yeah. I mean, I would say my local hip hop scene is a little scattered. Uh there's a lot of great artists, a lot of great artists. Like I listen to a lot of local hip hop. Um, but like you said, being from Seattle, it's not like someone has a Seattle sound that they can attach to that's familiar, right? We're kind of building that, and we're building that in different pieces because people there's plenty of subgenres of hip hop alone, right? So
Yeah.
um yeah, like, and I think maybe I approach it from a more, I guess, classic kind of, like we were saying, hip hop head, but at the same time, I think I'm so inspired by what I listen to, and just the music of nowadays that uh, I can't help but add a little bit of flavor to whatever it is that I'm doing too. So yeah, I think that the scene here is great with a lot of great music, but we're still carving out what that looks like.
That makes sense. Any artists you want to shout out? That's the follow up I always ask to that. Uh, Describe your scene. Anybody you think people should be up on a little bit more?
Yeah, Streets, um, Ralphie Davis, is a great artist from out here. Um, yeah, Mafi D. I mean, there's the homie Germ, Jiggy Germs. There's a couple of artists that I think, again, they all make different music, but they all make really good quality music. And if you like different elements of hip hop, you can kind of find all of that in all these different Seattle artists. I mean, I could list some more, but I would say those would be the three people I would say go check out.
Right on. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, part of the show is just to share the spotlight or whatever, get as many new ears on as much new music as possible. Brainiac, can you describe the Victoria scene?
Yeah, I would say there's a lot of people that are heavily like freestyle inspired. Like there's a lot of like dope freestylers here, which is something I want to get more into. Um, but yeah, I'd say it's pretty diverse. There's a lot of people that are making trap music, melodic trap. Maybe old school inspired, boom bap type shit, or just like straight up freestyling. So yeah, big shout out to Deepow, probably one of the craziest fucking freestylers I've ever met. Sky, Liquid Jane, Pitch Boy, Oz, obviously the gang, OP Yeti. Yeah, lots of dogs.
Hell yeah. Um, so I always ask any Canadian artists who you haven't collabed with, who you would like to collab with in the future.
Oof.
Breathe it into reality, you know? Word
Probably
manifest.
Raz Fresco.
There you go.
Probably Raz. He's nasty.
That would be dope. Kjahn, you mentioned some Canadians. Who do you want to collab with up here, man?
I would Mike Schaub or Craven.
Yeah, dope. Montreal based. Shows for plans. Sorry, plans for shows or tours coming up. Anything we can tell people to look out for immediate future?
I'll
Uh
let Brain go first. Yeah.
yeah, nothing fully planned out at the moment. We're trying to just figure out, exactly how all that would work. I got to get my passport renewed, so we got to try and I got to try and figure that out as far as like if we want to get some American dates. But yeah, it's in the works. We got some other stuff that we're trying to focus on first, and then shows will probably come next.
Right on. Kjahn, anything coming up from your side people can watch for?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping to, like Brain was saying, we're hoping to put together some stuff, at least in Victoria. Um, depending on the passport thing, maybe later in Seattle. But and then I'm also gonna be in Vancouver opening for an artist named Mark Battles uh, in December. So, and hopefully maybe we can put together something around then to to do something for Two Nails.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, dope. Well, this has been fun, guys. Thanks for coming on the show. It was nice meeting you both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for having us.
Hell yeah. Catch you
Later,
next
bro.
time. Peace. All right, everybody. So that was Kjahn and Brainiac. Go check out Two Nails in the Coffin. Appreciate people coming through. I do a new interview with a Canadian artist every Tuesday live here on Twitch. The videos then go over to YouTube. There's all 115 of them you can find on YouTube if you search Fly in Formation. You might have to put my name on there too, Doobyis Fly in Formation. You'll find it. And yeah, I'm trying my best to talk to the who's who of Canadian hip hop, artist by artist, and then you can always tap in over at Doobyis.com. That's the hub for everything that I do. These interviews, as well as my mix show after the smoke is clear. And yeah, hit follow, come through on Twitch. I'm often on here in the afternoons putting music mixes together or gaming and listening to the new releases each week. So yeah, this is kind of the spot to be if you want to know more about the Canadian hip hop scene. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Catch you on the next one.